Our digital family album. Gina won first prize in the school singing contest. She chose a popular song from the 1980s to sing in front of all the students. Gina's best friend, Unji, recorded the performance on her cell phone. After the contest, Gina showed the video file to her parents. Gina's father said, "Oh, your grandfather should watch this. This song is one of his favorites." Gina wanted to send the video file to her grandfather right away, but she realized he didn't have an email address or a smartphone. She felt sorry about this because she had no choice but to wait until she could visit her grandparents. Here is her story. When I visited my grandfather, he used to tell me about when he was my age. I have heard it hundreds of times, so I already know what he will say after. When I was your age, one of his least favorite things was any kind of digital device. This time I thought I could change his mind because he really enjoyed watching my singing performance on my phone. I told him, "Grandpa, I really want you to have a smartphone or an email address. If you use it, we can share many things and talk more often." However, my grandfather kept saying that it would be too difficult to use a smartphone or email. He believed digital devices worsened the generation gap. I wondered why he held on to his negative attitudes toward digital technologies. I found it hard to narrow the gap between us, so I said to my father, "Grandpa simply can't understand my generation." After having dinner at my grandparents' house, I received a message with 2 photos from my father. He said, "Gina, what do you think about these 2 photos?" The first photo was in black and white, and it was taken when my father was very young. In the picture, all the family members were eating some fruit together. As I saw their smiling faces in the picture, I could feel real happiness. On the other hand, the second photo was totally different. My father had taken this photo before we had dinner. I was playing online games on my smartphone, and my brother was talking with his friends using a mobile messaging app, while my grandfather was just watching TV. There seemed to be an invisible wall separating us from our grandfather. I felt sorry for my grandparents as I saw the photos. I began to understand how my grandfather felt. So I asked my father how I could bridge the gap between my grandparents and me. He said, "Gina, I know you're very good at computers. Why don't you make a digital family album? Even better, you could add some songs we all love along with your singing contest video file. Your grandfather will be very pleased to be able to share his life history with you." I thought digital devices could connect our family and strengthen the family bonds. I suggested the idea to my grandfather, and he accepted it with a big smile. Our digital family album starts with "When my grandfather was my age." When my grandfather was my age, the Korean War broke out. Things were quite different from the way we live now. He remembers how people suffered from cold, hunger, and poverty even after the war. My grandfather decided to leave his sick mother, 2 brothers, and 3 sisters because he was the only one who could earn money. Finally, he moved from his hometown to Seoul to make more money. As a laborer in the 1970s, he worked for a big construction company in Saudi Arabia and Iran for many years. When he thought of his family in Korea, he had to put up with all his difficulties. A love of music runs in the family. Music has been my grandfather's best friend throughout his life. He often listens to music when he feels sad. He told me he really liked the song that I sang at the singing contest. He also introduced me to a lot of songs I had never heard before. They were really amazing. We chose the first song for the background music of our digital family album. We found it interesting to make our own digital family album together. My grandparents said they felt closer to me and my brother because our family talked about the photos and the old days. I was glad to learn about their past, and they also looked happy to share their stories with me. We have finished making the first 2 chapters of our digital family album, and we decided to choose some photos of my grandmother for the next chapter. My grandmother has already selected her favorite song for the background music. Our digital family album will never end.